Starting out, I'm going to use a contrast of colors. So I'm using a very pale blue and then just a simple black to work on the darker outline bits of this beautiful butterfly here. And I don't normally start with blue or with black, but I wanted to do that just for this because it is just purely black right there. Please excuse the actual quality of the video. I don't know what happened here, but I guess the focus wasn't on it when it should have been. But anyway, continuing on. So in this section here, I had learned a very valuable lesson of making sure that I have the right colors down pat before I really start working on bigger sections. So this section actually took me the longest because I was trying to figure out the right colors to get that nice periwinkle bluish purpley color. And I just honestly, I really struggled. I was trying to find the right blue, and through all of my color pencils, I couldn't find it. I couldn't find it until halfway through. Then I finally found the right one. So if you're looking at the colors of the actual pencils, I would definitely test them out first on piece of paper before using them, because they don't always come down as the same color that you see on the actual pencil. But this ended up being a little bit too dark for me, and I ended up using too much pressure, and you could tell here that it just was very lackluster and too heavy looking, and it didn't blend very well because it had too many layers built up already. So that is one thing that you want to pay attention to, is making sure that you use lighter colors to begin with, and making sure that you have a good set of a variety of colors that you believe is going to work because you had already tested them beforehand. So I am using a little bit of some pinks, some purples, like a lilac color, some darker blues, as well as some brighter blues. And you'll see when I start to pick up the brighter blue later on, that's the one that I was looking for originally. And then you want to use a white color pencil sparingly, but what I do is I use the white color pencil to burnish, which is creating a waxy coating over the top of everything. And what that does is it's lightens it up and blends it all together. And then really quickly, you saw that little paintbrush. That is me using mineral spirit oil, which will blend everything together really nice and smooth, and so you won't have the tooth of the paper showing up nearly as much. And then once you apply more layers on top of that, it actually makes the color pencils a little bit more pigmented as well as more detailed. So now I'm using the white color pencil, and you can see it actually lightens it up even more so because I have that oil that's added on top of it. So now it looks a lot better than it originally did, and I'm so thankful for that. But here's the blue. That's the blue I was looking for the whole entire time. Doesn't it look so much better now that it has that blue color in there? It just, I don't know. This is my struggle with color pencils, is I just wing it a lot of the time. And then this here is the electric eraser, and so what that does is it creates these it erases the color pencil, not 100%, but good enough that you can actually make markings and different things. So I created some sparkle in there that you could clearly see in the reference image. So we'll continue on to the rest of the portrait here, and it is very similar methods, but the bottom two wings are lighter. So you want to use lighter pressure with lighter colors, but they're going to be the same kind of colors. Just use lighter pressure. So I'll use the white and then a light blue to burnish, and then add some of that, a little bit of that lilac color in there, and a little bit of that mineral spirit oil. You can see it really blends it all together. That's a really good example of how that works there. Definitely let it kind of, it doesn't necessarily dry out, but air out in a way before you start to add more layers. That way it gives it time to be able to seep into that all those layers there. And yes, you can go back over some of those sections that you think are complete, but maybe not necessarily once you start working on a next section. I do that a lot of the time. So you'll see me probably go in and out of the frame there to, fix up some of those little pieces that I saw later on. But you definitely want to focus on the highlights and the lowlights here. So you can see that it's a lot lighter in the middle section of the wing, of that bottom wing there, and then a little bit darker as it goes into the body of the butterfly there. I definitely don't know my anatomy, so I'm just winging it, pun intended. But the body itself, this was my least favorite part because it was very flat, lackluster, and I didn't have a lot of variety of color. So you really want to focus on having more color pencils than 5 color pencils. So if you have 5 in your hand, then add another like 4 color pencils and then you'll be set. It's like your bare minimum. The more variety of colors that you have, the more realistic the portrait's going to look. And you'll also notice here in a little bit that I'm actually going to use it's called Raw Umber in the Caran d'Ache Luminance series, but it's a green. It's a very earth tone green. And I like to use that for almost all of my portraits because it actually creates a more realistic look, as if you were looking at it in real life, because it creates a nice reflection of the natural environment around it when you have some of those natural green tones in there. If not, it just kind of looks like it's more of a plastic or a cartoony kind of portrait. So you'll see that I'll add that in there, as well as a little bit of a tint of some orange at the top. So you'll see that here in just a minute. But I also added a little bit of shading down the left-hand side. It's in the left and right-hand side, but mostly on the left-hand side. That shading is very, very, very important because what that does is it creates a sense of depth. So that body there is on top of the wings. It's not underneath it. It's not within it. It is on top. So that really is what makes or breaks a portrait, is where's that shading? Where are the highlights? Make sure you're incorporating all of those in there and it won't look so flat or 2D looking. But now moving on to the right-hand side, you can see that I've really started to master the colors, the method, and the tools that I'm using as well. So that is going to happen. I've been doing this for years. I still end up kind of figuring it out, winging it as I go. There really is no right or wrong way to do any of this. It's just whether it's going to be easier for you or harder for you at this point. And I do use a little bit of this like dark gray color, which actually kind of helps to create a sense of depth. And if you're struggling to figure out what kind of colors need to go down first, focus on lighter colors, something that is more of the undertone colors. So you could usually those kind of colors are more gray tones or just light ivory colors. Those kind of colors are really more of what you see, but focus on just like lighter colors is the most important thing. And then as you build up your layers, you're going to start to use darker colors. It's going to end up being more beneficial for you in the long run. Now, a trick to the eraser is make sure you have all of the dirt, like all of the wax off of the tip of it before using it again, because it will actually create a little bit more of a cleaner erase than if you had all that stuff, all that grime on there. And with the lines, you do want to use a little bit of a white color pencil, but you can also use the light blue if you don't want too much of it to be faded out. You can definitely tell that I'm going a whole lot faster than I originally was. So that's super important too, is you will learn to go faster the more comfortable you become while drawing each portrait. Heck, even like from the beginning to the end, you'll start to see that you draw faster from when you first started. And if you are interested in learning to draw, I actually do have a couple of classes that you can actually draw all by yourself. It's at your own pace, all pre-recorded, all online. It's on my website. If you go to Learn to Draw and click on Take a Class. If you're looking for anything that's more in depth, I actually have an 8-week program where you can learn to draw your own pet portraits or just animals in general. And that is also at your own pace. But that one, you also have access to be able to communicate with me along the way so that you can ask me questions and I can help you out throughout each course there. So that is also on my website, but all the links will be down below as well. So take a look at that. Don't forget to also subscribe if you want to follow along with what I'm doing, as well as get some helpful tips and tricks. You can subscribe to my email list, which will be down below as well. Continuing on here though, you can see that I started out with very light blues instead and then worked on the darker colors afterwards. I think that helped this a whole lot more because look how vibrant these colors are. That's what I should have done in the beginning. So even though I've been doing this for years, there are still things that I am learning, such as making sure you've got more of those lighter, vibrant colors to start with, and then work on shading as you start to build up more and more layers. And having a big variety of colors to start your portrait with actually will help you grow tremendously is all I can really say. You just have to try it out for yourself and see what I'm talking about. But these lines here, yeah, they're not perfect, but nothing really ever is perfect. This is what I say to all of my students is I am not a photorealistic artist. I am just a realistic artist. So there's a big difference. I draw realistically, but within my own style. So be mindful of that when you're learning to draw as well. Don't be so hard on yourself and trying to get everything to look so perfectly, because that's not the whole point. The whole point is to enjoy the process of it and learn how to play around with the different methods of using colored pencils and different materials, and just it's really all about enjoying the process itself, not trying to get it to look just like the actual image. So you'll just enjoy it a whole lot more. And I've learned that too over the years, is to just work on enjoying the process instead of trying to make it look perfect. But that is it. So please like and subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you on the next one.